Yeah. How come this is not picking up? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Not really.
Can't hear me?
Wait a minute. Try again.
Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
oh yeah, now I hear you. You just were very low. Yeah.
For the beautiful for bringing yesterday. I just want to say to anybody who wasn't there.
Baruch, speak closer to your phone, Baruch.
Hopefully, Suna will make a summary, but anybody who's not coming to the Brinham and Shabbos is missing out. That's all I want to say.
All right. Ben Hashem. All right. We are on page Nun Hey. Some of it is actually a repeat, but we had a big interruption. Page Nun Hey, the line begins with Muvdal. Top third of the page. The exact number of lines, I think it's 9 lines, as I can see, or 8 lines. 8 lines from the top. Muvdal. And we're discussing now a quote from the Tanya. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that the oisiyos, each ois is a koyach and chayas miyuchot, a specific koyach and chayas. And then when there are many oisiyos joined together, this joining together is the result of a higher oir that is able to take several letters together and put them together into a single principle, a single word, in simple terms. So the Rebbe here explains that the power, the capability of joining letters together, forming one single oyer, one single power, that is the result of all the letters joined together. This has a special, has a singular source in the nefesh. This is not the result of many letters come together, and therefore there is that additional koyach, additional power. It is not from these letters themselves that this ability to join and create a new message that it comes from. Rather, it comes from something something higher than that. And within this context, there are two levels that come to mind. One is the oir hamislabish behoisis, the oir that is mislabish, that allows itself to be contained in the oisius, and this oir can be effective on joining the letters together. And then the Rebbe said, but that is not really what causes this union. Even though he doesn't reject it completely, it's conceivable that also is included in that concept. But essentially, really this union that is able to join the letters together to form something greater than individual letters, and that is possible only as a result of multiple letters, this comes from an oir, a super oir, a higher oir, an oir that is, he says, muvdal. Muvdal means it is remote from letters. It is completely remote from being able to be captured in some kind of a container. But muvdal. It comes from an original source. The Rebbe spends an enormous amount of effort and time in pointing this out. I just want to briefly remind ourselves. We already discussed the principle of the ois, of the letter per se, and then the oir hamislabish b'hois, the oir that imbues itself, it's imbued in the letter. I'm not going over this back. Just want that we should relate to the terminology. The oir hamislabish b'hoisis. Again, just to remind ourselves, what do we mean by oir? To put it very simply, letters have a physical presence to the extent that even animals can also pronounce letters, like we have the
Parrot.
a parrot can repeat words. But the parrot does not repeat words because it appreciates what a word is. It repeats word, it repeats the sound of the word that it can repeat. It has no inkling whatsoever of the significance of a letter, the significance of a word. In contrast, the human being absolutely does have the sense of what that is. To the human being, a letter is not a sound. A letter is the meaning is a means of expressing something. This is called oir hamislabish b'hoisis. And then there is, the Rebbe explains, there is a super oil that is also rooted in the human intellect, but even in a higher level than the ability to express it in words. Such a high level that it is completely remote from being able to be mislabish in oisius. Oir Ayin muvdo. Muvdo means something which stands alone, which is remote from being captured in letters. To put it in terms that we can relate to the word muvdo, it would be this. The reason that one is able to correlate several letters to form a word is not the fact that he sees those letters. Oh, I can now put together a few letters and make a word out of it. In other words, the presence of the letters itself kind of arouses the idea of joining letters together. So the Rebbe says, no, at all, not at all. Muvdo. It's a completely original thought coming from the origin of the intellect. This is where this capability is rooted. And now we continue inside. Okay, right after the parentheses on this line that begins with the word muvdo. Why do we say, what is so compelling in the concept that the joining of letters is not contained within the letters themselves, or the oilam islabish, it is due to the fact that they have letters, and we could see that therefore they can be joined together. That's not what it says. Why do we say that? And then the message, the word that is formed as a result, is actually has an original source, not from the observation of the letters. So Yansel Rebbe says, Sharei, since that, call Eir Seicha Mislabish Be'oisiyos, any Eir Seicha that is ultimately mislabish imbued in letters, in words, Harei, behold, Ein Muchroch it is not. There's not a compelling element. Sheyiyeh be'oisis elu dafke. That this seichel should be expressed in these oisis uniquely, specifically. These oisis do not capture the ois seichel to the point that this is the only way that it can be expressed. It is capable to be gam be'oisis acheri. Also in other oisis, in other forms, in other words, the same concept can be expressed in multiple different forms and different letters.
I'm sorry, I can't find which line are we?
Count down 8 lines from the top.
8 lines, okay.
What line begin with?
Move there.
Move them. That's what we write. And we write right after the parenthesis. Actually, we are now on the next line. V'yochel li is gam be'eser acherim. Have that?
Yeah.
The seichel can be the same seichel, the same concept can be expressed in other oisis, in other words, which tells us that the words and the letters that express the seichel are not the cause for the ability to express the seichel. The ability to express this seichel in words comes from a higher source, not from the existence of letters, of words. Since that, this we can clearly see from the fact that there is no limit, no compelling element that the seichel should be expressed in one form or another form in terms of words and letters. U'kamoyas, for example, Ayin Oilom. Ayin Oilom, the master of the world. That is expressing a concept. Shohu inyan, which expresses the principle hashlita v'hamamshol of rulership. Adon means a master. Shlita v'hamshol. This is what's expressing Adon. Harei, so there, ho'inyan hazem. Shlita v'hamshol are 2 words that mean basically the same thing. Sometimes, maybe it's necessary, we'll go into this. Essentially, it means rulership.
That's what the expression Rebbe Shlita comes from?
Huh? No. Shlita is a Rosh Tevis, it's not a word. Rebbe Shlita is not a word. It's an abbreviation. Harei. So then, ho'inyan hazeh, this inyan of shlita mamshola, this concept, is capable to be brought forth, to come, also in other letters. Kamoy, for example, melech ha'olam, king of the world, also denotes rulership. V'im kein, and thus, that brings us to conclude. Loi mitzad ha'seichel atzmoi, that it is not due to the seichel itself, to the principle of seichel rulership. This is not the source. This is not what brings it, causes it to be expressed and imbued in these oisies. The oisies are not a compelling element in the seichel, and therefore it is not the seichel that puts the letters together to express itself. As we can actually say, Shnei Chachomim, 2 scholars, Omrim Svara Achas, both are saying the similar svara, the similar insight. Okmeiteis ves Rosh v'Ram, Sheimim Svara Achas. You look in the Tastes, you go in the Rosh and the Ram, they seem to be saying basically the same svara, the same explanation of the Gemara. And each one of them says the same svara in different words, in different letters. Harei, thus we see that from the perspective of the seichel itself, it is not compelling that it should come, the seichel should come in the exclusively in these oases. What then forces this seichel to come in these letters? Rak mitzad keach hamtzarek. Only from the perspective and due to the fact that there's a koyach, what's called koyach hamtzarek, a koyach that joins letters and words together to formulate a concept.
Mitzaref.
Huh?
Mitzaref.
Joints. Shehu mitzaref u'mechaber ho'esiyes, which joins the letters umal bishbahem as aseichel, and in these letters that are joined together, this koyach hamtzaref imbues the seichel into this formulation. Shezehu koyach elyon yoiseir, which is a higher koyach niguv haseichel hamubish behoisis than the seichel that is in fact mubish in the oasis. The seichel that's expressed in the oasis itself, this in koyach hamtzaref is of a higher origin than the seichel that is contained in the oasis.
That's as if to say Adon Olam and Melech Olam are truly synonyms.
Conceptual synonyms.
Yeah. Right, but it may seem like they do have different nuances, but here in this proof it's like saying they are completely synonymous.
They have different nuances, and it depends on your particular seichel, the insight that you have in this, how you would express it. Whether you would choose to express it in Adon Olam or you choose to express it in Melech Olam.
Right.
But essentially, you're expressing the same thing.
Okay, so they may differ, but right here our focus is on how they compare.
What, Tony?
So in fact they may differ, or they do have different nuances, but right here our focus is on how they are completely synonymous. And that's the proof.
The principle ultimately is synonymous.
Yeah.
Adoim is a master, Melech is a master, and whatever else other form you have to say, he is my master.
Right, and that's to prove, this is being brought as a way to prove, or as a way to show that indeed the origin of the seichel is not. What are we actually showing? That the origin of these words is higher than themselves, or what are we proving now?
That the origin of the word is higher than the letters of which letter the word consists.
Saying it has its own truth, its own reality, and it can show itself.
The seichel is not limited.
Right.
That it can be expressed in one form or another.
Yeah.
What and brings about that you should express it this way or that way? That is a higher source. And we have two chachomim, Tosfos, Rosh and Ram, are expressing the similar svara, and each one expresses it in his own way. Why is that? It's not the seichel that demands that you should express it this way, because they express it in the same seichel. What is it that compels that Tosfos will express it this way, Rosh will express it this way, and Ram will express it this way? That is rooted in the essential and the higher the source of seichel of Tosfos and the Rosh and the Ram.
Can I ask a question here?
Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to know one step back. When letters are put together to form a word, so what is it that the letters, each letter carries its own order.
Right.
But the word carries, obviously, a letter doesn't express a thought or anything. A word expresses some sort of a thought.
Right.
And what is the playoff that combines? That's also a kind of a combining playoff to put the letters together into a word. What we're talking about here is different.
No, that's what we're talking about.
I thought we're talking here about the playoff that puts the words together, or chooses this word rather than that word.
Right.
This formulation rather than that.
And the same Inyan is on a lower level, where letters are combined together to form a word.
It's the same playoff.
It's of the similar origin. Its origin in the source of the seichel.
So a word is not formed by even a word, much less a particular choice of words. A word is not formed by the seichel that it contains.
That is contained in the letters.
That is contained in the letters.
And it's not, you're right, and it's not formed by the seichel that it itself expresses. That
that's what I'm saying. It's not formed by the seichel that it itself, the word, expresses.
Right.
The letters don't come together because the idea tells them you have to come together to express this idea.
And the proof for that is
that
the idea can be expressed in multiple formulations, combinations.
Okay. That applies not just on the combination of word level, it applies on the word level itself.
That's right. Combination of letters.
Combination of letters. When the Alter Rebbe, since I'm asking a question, I'll just ask one more. When the Alter Rebbe starts us off on this discussion talking about if every letter carries its own oyer and toyah and chayis, he's speaking about the letters of the, I guess, Yasser Sadibris or the Asura Mamoris, right? He's not speaking about regular letters that we use in our regular language.
Why you say that? Regular letters.
I don't know.
Okay, regular language also consists of letters, and these letters are then combined into words, and all that is a representative of the human intellect, which is an emanation from the nefesh.
The reason I said it to answer your question is the Alter Rebbe there is talking about how the world itself is created by the letters of the Asura Mamoris, right?
Right.
He's talking about letters that ultimately there's an Oyer and a Chayis in each of these letters, and a Hamshacha that creates Mamish, the world.
That's right. But the principle that he's discussing is universal, not only in that particular situation.
Okay. Thank you. I'm back on mute. Stephen doesn't need to say thank you to me for going back on mute.
So again, the Kitzur, our point here is that the seichel is above the words themselves. The seichel is above the words themselves, and I'm just wondering what our key point is here. And that's why it can express itself in different words.
That's why the seichel can be expressed in multiple words, because the ability to join, to put words together, to express a seichel, does not come from the seichel itself. It comes from the source of the seichel.
So if it comes to the source, why does it answer? Why does Tosfos give it one way of expression of words and a different way of words?
That is a much deeper element. This is the sense of the truth of this seichel as it's seen by one person, by one chacham, or by another chacham.
And they could disagree.
They agree in the same seichel,
Oh, okay.
but they're different. And what happens, you're right, there's an ultimately a possibility of disagreement. In other words, they may be saying the same thing, but at some point in time, their difference will surface.
Because they don't have the same seichel.
Because they don't have, the origin of the seichel is not exactly the same.
They sense the truth in a different way.
That's right.
Yes.
I'll take a very mundane illustration. Very, very useful. When we find this in simple human experience. You come into the room and say, okay, set it up for class. You both want to set it up for class. Are two people going to set it up for class exactly the same way? Practically speaking, you're setting up for class. But each one has a different take what it means to set it up for class.
Why do we have to say that? This is kind of like a chassidus question. Why do you have to say that it's not just a technical difference? Why do you have to say this relates to how they relate to the idea of class and how they set it up, as opposed to just they're saying there has to be a practical setting for a class and there has to be tables and chairs and it has to be set up in this way. But I view the practical element in this way. They view the practical element in that way. We're trying to say that it's a much higher element that brings it out. Why are we forced to say that in this context?
Well, they're both setting up for the same purpose and they're setting it up differently. Why?
Does this relate to how they view the inyan of class and the inyan of what their class is, or how they view a practical setup in what will accommodate the most people?
Either way.
Why does the lower way of what will accommodate express this higher factor?
Because it's created from a higher factor. Tell a dog to set up a class. Or a monkey, for that matter. Or better still, tell a goy to set it up for a class. He's intelligent. How will he set it up for a class? Nothing similar to the way l'havdil that you will set it up.
And based on what we're saying here, even though they're both describing, let's say, the king, but the way they relate to the king is entirely different. Is this what they express when they say Ayin versus Melech?
Yeah.
Is this what we call the intention that we spoke about on Friday, that you say that an idiot listens to the words, a regular person listens to the intention. Is this the intention that we're speaking of?
You're talking about the intent, only intent. You're not talking about an idiot. We're talking about an intent only, because that is the source of the seichel that allows it to be fully expressed and formed from multiple words, so forth. Okay, let's continue. We'll underline that begins with what has seichel hamlubish be'oisis, the seichel that is contained in the oisis, that which causes them to be combined in a certain way, to be mitzurah, comes from a higher source than the seichel that is melubash, that is contained in oisis. V'lochein, for that reason, this explains the following phenomena: hatinoig, the young child, hagam sheyesh lo miyad hasoga, although he has a limit of hasoga, of comprehension, kifi erkoi, based on his particular measure, particular level, and yet still, lo yalbish be'eisies, he will not be able to listen to this. I remember we discussed it quite conclusively. He will not express in oisios gam ha-seichel ha-koten ha-musul b'dait, even the simple seichel that is properly understood by him, and yet he will not come up and start explaining what he is doing, why he is doing it in a certain way. Even though he is massacring the seichel. Mipnei, and that is due to the fact, she'ein lo oisiyos, he does not possess the oisiyos, v'tzirufi, and furthermore the combinations and the structures, b'amel lahalbish ulhovish haseichel, where to express and where to imbue and to bring forth the seichel. The Hainu, I'll come back and I'll remind ourselves of what we discussed last. The Hainu, and the point in this is mipnei, due to the fact she'ein lo hizgal lo zakeach ho'elin hamatzareh. The koyach elin, that means that he doesn't possess this seichel. Of course he possesses it, but that koyach elin, that higher koyach, the hamatzareh, that brings oasis together and expresses an thought, has not yet surfaced by him. He does not yet sense the power of this expression. Shezebo b'meshech hashon. This revelation and the surfacing of this koyach comes over a period of years. It is not. Does not come at the moment when the seichel itself is understood. And we, as I recall it, I hope you should remember, I'll be pointed to a very simple, clear demonstration of this union. You remember something like that? You understand? No. Anybody?
I have a question going back to what we're saying.
No, wait a second. I'm in the middle of it.
An illustration of what it is. An illustration of the.
Okay, we said like this. We said many times that you show a child, a young child, how you're supposed to eat with a spoon and a fork, and the child insists that this is how he's going to eat. And if he can't pick it up in the spoon, he puts it in the spoon with his fingers, and then eats it in the spoon.
Right.
That was his senses that this is the way he should eat.
And this is a mashal for the Indian.
1 second. Then you ask the child, why do you put it in the spoon?
Oh, yeah.
He has an idea, but he cannot formulate the words to express it. This Indian that he senses that he's supposed to eat with the spoon is a seichel Indian. This is a seichel. This is a sensitivity much higher than the process of eating.
But he didn't find out by himself, he was shown how to do it.
Yeah. So
that's seichel.
But when he's shown, he relates to it. It makes sense to him. Or he does it. He insists that it be this way.
Wait, so the reason his own seichel doesn't guide him to do that is because
Initially?
Okay, it's a slightly different topic, right? We've had that his seichel is kind of removed from the practicalities of eating, and once he's shown it, it fits with him. And then he...
Well, this is not entirely correct. In other words, as a young child, he will not figure it out on his own.
But we say once he's doing it that way and he wants to persevere, so that shows on his innate seichel.
That's right. But when he becomes an adult, he will figure out on his own what is the right way to do things.
Right. And our point here is that at this time when the child's eating this way and he wants to eat this way, he cannot in any way describe why.
Right.
And And so the nimshal is that he lacks the oisios, but he has the seichel. Okay.
He has a seichel, but he doesn't have the koich hamatzar.
Both koyach hamtzarif or koyach that to imbue it and to put it into words, into oisios. This is not what this seichel is something that. Let's understand the difference between the sense of the seichel and the expression of the seichel. The sense of the seichel is the way the seichel is internal to the nefesh. Expression of the seichel is completely something different. To express a seichel, that is the point where one understands that this is not just the way I feel comfortable, but this is the right way to do things.
That's even higher.
That's right. This is the seichel. This is what the real. This is what expressing of the seichel comes.
Why this is the right way should be associated with expression? This is the right way seems personal, innate. Why going on to expression?
Because expression means I'm expressing it outside of myself.
So
I'm telling it to you.
It has a universality.
Yes.
So the right way is sort of for everybody. And
that's
and
right. I'm telling you, I do it. You'll understand. If I explain it to you, you'll also understand. How do you not understand? It's your personal preference.
And that's different from this koyach mitzaref.
This, okay, koyach mitzaref is even higher than that.
Oh.
What?
What's that?
I sense that yes, this is something which pertains to you. And if I say it pertains to you, so I'll say to you, don't eat this way, eat this way. But I cannot explain to you why.
Why not? You're sensing universality of it, so why?
Universality, that's right. It's such universality in terms of that this is not just correct for me, but it's correct for you too. But why?
It doesn't come along with the why?
It doesn't come along with the why. I mean, on the seichel level, to explain what is behind it. What's the difference you eat with your finger or you eat with your spoon, with a spoon?
Right.
Can I explain? So that explanation, the whole idea of expressing in words, dibur, is a special, unique human quality. And in the seichel itself, this is employing the source of the seichel. Hamuvdo, koyach hamuvdo. Muvdo means is remote from the practicality. Let's understand. Let's understand. If the child eats with his fingers, he doesn't know why it's wrong, but he feels uncomfortable doing it. The words to explain that is remote from that sense of this comfort. He's not saying it because he feels uncomfortable, but that's the right way. Completely different level of intellectual insight.
But when he just expresses his feelings that I feel comfortable, this is not really saying anything?
No, it's saying that it's not saying the seichel, expressing his feeling. But say the seichel means say that here's what I'm doing and here's the reason why I'm doing that.
Based on what we've learned about seichel for the whole duration of these classes, we say it's not something which is describing an idea or an object or a concept. It's something which is more internal and deep to the person. So in that case, we're saying that two people relate something differently. That really is reflective of their seichel. How are we saying that these are not two different seichels? Even though they're describing the same thing, the way it is internally, which is the depth of seichel which we're speaking about often, why is it not? Why do we say they're the same? Even though they're both describing the same king.
the description comes from a source of seichel. You're asking a question, but the question is just a question in words. There is not a question there.
Should I try to explain?
Go ahead.
If it's invalid and you think it's invalid with Hachila, you just tell me it's invalid with Hachila, and then I'm not going to even try. I'll just let that go. But basically, we said the seichel is not logic. So let's say the Tosfos around
One second. What does it mean, not logic?
It's not just the logical buildup of question, answer, and proofs. Rather is that which gives that which deems it necessary that there has to be this setup. For example, they can explain the same Indian of halachas and tefillin. And they can explain logically once they have a basis of why.
Okay, let's stick to what we already mentioned. The child senses that eat with a spoon is the right way. Take it from there.
Yeah, I'll do this on my own time.
Okay. The truth is that he doesn't sense that it's the right way. He senses that he feels uncomfortable doing it another way. Where are you?
Well,
What?
I faced a practical situation of what we're saying. I have a bachor living by me,
Okay.
coming from Israel,
Right.
and he was always eating with his fork and pushing with his fingers the food into the spoon.
Into the fork.
At the age of 12, 13, so we kept on telling him it's not very educated way of doing it, and he wouldn't. He kept on doing it.
Okay.
So ultimately, I think now years later, he probably doesn't do it anymore. But for months, he wasn't doing it.
Okay.
So the seichel it didn't work for him.
Listen, if you the child picks up the food and puts it in the spoon, is that the right way to do it?
No.
What's the point?
He kept on doing it.
No, I'm talking about the child. He wants to eat it with the spoon, but he takes the food with his fingers and puts it in the spoon. So what have you accomplished?
One step closer.
Huh?
One step closer.
Okay, so let's.
This is a very good illustration of the concept here, but we have to delve into it on our own a little bit and answer the various questions that come up, because otherwise it is a very lengthy discussion. Nonetheless, these questions are valid questions. Why does a child feel comfortable picking up the food in his fingers and putting the spoon and feeding himself the spoon, and does not feel comfortable putting the food directly with his fingers into his mouth? Okay, I leave it up in the air.
Okay.
Maybe.
Until further notice.
I'd like to have feedback.
Okay.
From 1 mil to then 29.5 How will the mill ever get attached to a shredder?
Let's see, what time is it?
That's
Okay, we
right.
still have time.
He
Okay.
knows that he is eating from a spoon. He doesn't know that that level that he's putting in the spoon. He can't take something direct with his fingers in his mouth. He feels it. He's actually eating from a spoon, from a fork.
So what's the difference?
He senses that. He's able to sense.
What does he sense?
That this is the proper way to eat from the spoon.
Why? What's wrong with eating with your fingers?
You can't say what's wrong.
No, but in his sensitivities.
Can connect his fingers going in his mouth like that's.
All right, give it a day or two. Think about it. Okay? Okay, let's continue a little bit here. The koyach hametzarev, that is able to express it in words, this comes from a higher source, and this first surfaces the Meshech Hashonim over a period of years. Even though the child understands the seichel, but to express it in words, more the Meshech Hashonim. The koyach hametzarev, because it's this koyach hametzarev, hu koyach hachochma. This is the koyach, it's called koyach hachochma. Koyach hachochma surfaces much later than the lower koyachs, koyach habina.
Really? It's more fundamental, the bina comes first.
We'll come back to this. Let's get the whole presentation. The ha'oyer ha-mislabesh, and the oil that's mislabesh in oisius, means it is actually contained and expressed in oisius. Oil that's mislabesh. Chochma is not mislabesh. Chochma has no kelim into which it can be placed and transferred. Bina can be expressed in words and explained, practically speaking, exactly what entailed there. The chokhmah cannot be. Chokhmah can only be demonstrated, and either one catches it, has chokhmah, and it doesn't have chokhmah.
Everything is from the dry ones? Yes. Okay.
The muting became unmuted.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I can't. I lost that.
We will take to demonstrate, to explain this principle here. We will take also one of the Mishon that we discussed many times and be able to actually focus in on it. And that is what we quote all the time. Odem shein lebayis ein odem. Now, if you ask somebody, what is a house for? He can describe to you in very great detail. I have to have a place where I can put my things down, where I can sleep at peace. and I can eat undisturbed. And yet, Odom Shein Bayis, any Odom, is a completely superior concept to all of that. That concept surfaces in a human being much later, on in years. I don't mean adult, I mean best, close to midlife, like 20, 25, 30. Yet, those seichel that is mislabish in kelim, like for example, I should have a chair, I should have a bed, I should have a plate, I should have a spoon. All these things are understood much earlier, and truly understood. Even a child, I just pointed out, on certain level understands certain aspects. Yet, that all-encompassing reality, the home itself, which does not have any practical, you cannot pin down what is this about. You can express many different details, what you do in a home. But this all will entail bringing out different kelim, a chair, a bed, and it's all different kelim. But the having a home in itself is not a keli. This is from Koyach HaChochma. What's the matter? This Koyach HaChochma, which is called Koyach HaMetzaveh, pointed out many times. Baruch, you still there? Just want to have a full... Huh? Yeah.
In English it means adding.
Okay. No.
We're still here, Rabbi.
Join. You're with me.
When you say Gacham Tzarech.
I'm with you. I do have one question, though.
I'm sorry?
Join.
I have one question on what you just said. Because we're saying this Koyach HaMetzaref is Muvdal. It's Muvdal, right?
Right.
Well, how is it possible to say that it's Chochma then? Koyach HaChochma seemingly is not Muvdal.
It is moved on. It is not, Chochma is not the result of a lot of Bina.
Bina is the result of a lot of Chochma, though. There is
Bina is not a result of Bina. It draws from Chochma, and Bina cannot
We're saying Chochma,
capture the entire Chochma ever.
Chochma itself is moved on.
That's right.
Okay.
There is not any aspect in Bina, any aspect in use of a home, chairs, beds, whatever it is, that you could say, if he doesn't have that, he's not a human being. Ein Bayis, then is not a human being. Any other. That's a totally different level. All right, I think it's time that we attack this principle.
So we're going back inside?
No. Yeah, we are inside, but we are still discussing the same words. Koyach HaMetzarev or Koyach HaChochma. The koyach that Metzarev, that joins several things together, is Koyach HaChochma.
This is Koyach HaChochma.
This is Koyach HaChochma.
Is Mitzaref what joins?
Yeah, Metzarev means joins.
Right, so what does Koyach HaChochma does?
Koyach HaChochma, the Koyach HaMetzarev is from Koyach HaChochma.
I had an a very interesting experience.
No, 1 second.
It's relating to that.
No, okay, fine. Let me finish this thing. We said that a person needs a chair, a table, a bed, closets, bookcases, whatever else goes into the home. And we said many times, an interesting phenomenon. Like we should relate to this. A table has a practical use. You sit at a table, you eat much more comfortable. Take this same table, put it out in the street, and sit down comfortably and eat. Will it be the same experience? In terms of the comfort of eating, exactly the same. What's missing? What's missing? Missing is putting this table in perspective. It's called Koyach HaMetzarev. From the perspective of a home, a table and a chair and a bed and a closet, they're all representing the same reality. Like we said many times, a person has a home. Once he has a home, immediately begins to think, okay, we need this, we need all kinds of other things.
Putting the table in perspective, like creating a context.
And that's less.
Like market.
That's right. A home demands all kinds of different things.
Right.
Otherwise, each thing is a separate letter, but then it has a particular usage, and that's it.
Right. This Koyach Metzarev, that it is Chochmah, it's like the lower end of Chochmah, where it touches stuff.
It's the Chochmah HaGluya. It's a revelation of
right.
Chochmah. But the essence of it is, of course, different.
Right.
We spent many times. What is the yin odom shein abayis and odom? This is touching upon the reality of what a human being is.
Right, which doesn't seem to do with Metzarev.
No, it does. Because this ultimately is Metzarev, all different functions of human beings.
This is what I wanted to. A very interesting.
I know it's very interesting, but if you're in the middle, you come in the middle and.
Trust me, it's very interesting.
I know it's very good, but.
Koyach HaMetzarev.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Just want to. So this inyan, this Koyach HaChochma. There's an interesting inyan that we always learned. That the human, the nivroim, the highest koyach in nivroim that defines what a nivro is the koyach hachoch. How is koyach hachoch a defining element in the nivro? In a human being. He has seichel, but he can figure out all kinds of different things. Like we have mathematics, and we figure out by research. We figure this out. We figure this out. Whatever you find out by research does not relate to you. Does not have any meaning to you unless you have the chokhmah. An interesting thing that Rebbe pointed out many times. We have a whole educational system. See, people go through a very involved and deeply engaging educational system. mathematics, history, all kinds of different things. And yet, you come out of that process. You graduate your PhD, and you're the same behemoth like you were when you first started. Nothing happened. On the contrary, Baruch is constantly mentioned, the lowest of the lower are the professors.
Right.
The reason they are so low is because they are so smart. And with all their studying, they didn't find any cause of a kind of a spiritual value. So they say, okay, there isn't.
Hello. Yep. Paltiel, I object to what you said. You do not come out to sing the hymn from a much bigger behemoth.
What did you say?
It's not the same behemoth that entered school, a much bigger behemoth.
And our point here is that there's that lack of chokhmah. There's bina gone wild without chokhmah.
That's right. They do not draw upon the chokhmah.
Yeah.
Chokhmah they dismiss. You know why? Because it's nothing to. You can't grasp it.
You can't sell it. You can't put it in your pocket. Right. We came into it, right. And we came into it by talking about chokhmah is koyach mitzaref. Mitzaref sounds like, or it is in fact, associative, joining together or unifying different oisios or words. Chokhmah per se, and maybe this was answered already, chokhmah unto itself seems away from joining things. It's unto itself, it's the flesh.
That's right. So this unto itself is of such broad and deep significance that everything finds a place in the chokhmah.
Right. Okay.
Like the home, everything, every human usage finds a place in the concept of a home.
Right, but it's all held together in the context of it's all mitzaref because of, or associated together because of chokhmah. Without that, it's like disparate.
That's the home. Yeah, the home is the chokhmah element of all practical of all of these things.
And without that, it's kind of disparate. Like they go against each other, or they're just unto themselves, or.
That's what we say many times. You have a house and you have a home.
What is the mitzaref? What's the analogy? What is actually mitzaref in the home?
Mitzaref in the home is that in a home...
Like the table with the chairs?
That's right. Table and chairs and the beds and closets and bookcases and pictures on the walls. All expressing the same thing.
Is it just all of those things themselves, or the way in which they are, appointed and designed and placed?
Both. There is a demand, because there is a reality to this home.
Right. So now we're talking about koyach mitzaref or koyach chokhmah?
Both. Koyach mitzaref, the Rebbe said, this is for koyach chokhmah. If not for the koyach chokhmah, a person would be constantly, pushed around. Do this, don't do this, do this. But this is not how a person lives. He has one focus. I have to live like a human being. Everything falls into place.
That harmonizes all his other activities.
Everything.
Can I say my experience?
Can you use the expression?
Okay,
I was going to sleep one night, and I planned to get up at a certain time.
Right.
I was tired, and I was worried that I'm not going to be able to get up. So I guess I had a little prayer to Hashem that I want to get up to a minyan or a certain time.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I feel that my whole body is moving, gets shaking from left to right and to back of the bed. Obviously it was a dream, I realized. But then there was a dream within a dream. I asked myself, what is this? Why am I moving? Who is moving me? So then all of a sudden I see myself in the hospital room with a nurse male, and I'm saying, what's going on? Where am I? So the male nurse says, this is the chokhmah. And I was up,
and I came to everything was. I woke up in time, and
The nurse said to you, "This is the chokhmah."
the male nurse, with the white clothes, he says, "This is the chokhmah." Okay, so I talking about chokhmah tzaref. So basically, living like human being. I had a good wish, right, to wake up in time to the, and that was the process that took place. And it was very, very interesting in my mind. Always it comes back to me. To illustrate, I think that it has something relating to what you're saying over here now. Living like a human being, and the chokhmah basically.
So this koyach hametzarif.
Paltiel.
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yeah.
Just a quick question, sir. Your expression was the term koyach hametzarif is from koyach hachokhmah. It's not
Right.
identical to.
No. This is the right side. Chokhmah affects that siruf.
That?
Joining.
Join.
Chokhmah has within it the koyach hatziruf. Hametzarif. They're not identical.
They're not identical. Koyach hametzarif is a chitzonis of chokhmah, and the essence of chokhmah is the essence of chokhmah. All right, so we crossed this bridge finally. So we are at the parentheses, just after established with Bina. And the line begins.